Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. It's time for some fighting words. So in this video, I want to talk about Floyd Mayweather Jr. Apparently, he's getting that itch and that urge to come back to the ring, and he wants to fight a professional fighter. He wants to get back in there with top guys. I have mixed feelings about this. A lot of people are bringing up guys like Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard and all. And yeah, I understand it. Guys walk away, and they're at a certain age and then they come back and they get beat. That's true. However, Floyd Mayweather doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He's never done any drugs. That's one thing. Floyd Mayweather is never out of shape. He's always running. He's always in the gym. He's never out of shape. So that's another thing. And Floyd Mayweather has not been away from boxing. He's a promoter. He's a sometimes trainer. And he's fighting in exhibitions. So he's never walked away from boxing. He's always been in the loop. He's always been there, and he's always been hovering around. So, somebody like a Sugar Ray Leonard who walked away and sniffed cocaine for like 3 years and then came back, that's one thing. Somebody like a Muhammad Ali who, was doing a lot of lectures and going around the country and doing speaking engagements, but not going to the gym, that's one thing. You're talking about a guy he's always been a gym rat. Always been a gym rat. It's nothing new. He's always been a gym rat. And then he's a promoter, so he's in the gym. And then he does exhibitions, so he's in the gym. Now, am I saying that he has a real significant shot with the top guys? Let's put it like this. When Floyd Mayweather said that he wanted the winner of Conor and Brooke, I was on board with that. Because he's older than those guys, but you have three guys who are definitely on the latter end. One guy who's on the latter end, and you have two guys who are about to close out. Apparently Conor's going to retire after, his fight with Brooke. If you have not seen my video, I have a video for that. But, so that's different because they're not top-notch guys anymore. They're not upper echelon of the division anymore. They're big names and big draws, absolutely. But they're not young lions. They're not hungry. These guys have more money than they know what to do with. They're not hungry. These guys are not coming from the slums or, they're not doing that. They're not training all year round. They're not doing that. They're not living in the gym. We're talking about fathers and husbands, So it's different when you fight somebody who's a family man versus you fight somebody who is just hungry and gritty, and doesn't have anybody around, or maybe a lower support base or something like that, where it's all internal and he himself has to be his driving motivator, as opposed to you have children and you must feed these little people. So totally different, totally different. However, I was thinking about some names that he could beat. At his age, I think Floyd Mayweather could beat Danny Garcia. I really do. I think Floyd Mayweather can beat a Danny Garcia. Danny doesn't stay in the gym. Danny stays in moderate shape, but he doesn't stay in the gym. I think he could beat Keith Thurman, actually. Now, it's funny, when Floyd was retiring and Keith was calling him out, I didn't feel like Floyd needed that in his life. But Keith has had loss. He's had a loss. And he's been plagued with injuries in between. Now would be the perfect time to fight Keith Thurman. Now would be the perfect time to fight him. He's not the same guy. He's not the guy, I'll duck you, don't duck me, son. He's not that guy anymore. He's a lot more reserved. Like, he's more of a company man now. He does some commentating. He's a lot more chilled out. He's made a lot of money. So he's not the same guy. And that's what I mean. That mentality, that dog, that hungry, gritty dog is gone. Now he's just a fighter, but he's not a fighting dog. He's not that anymore. So yeah, why not? Danny Garcia, he's more focused on selling his clothing line than he is boxing. Floyd stays in much better shape than Danny Garcia. Why not? Yeah, Floyd, he owns a strip club, and Danny Garcia and Angel, his father, live in the strip club, apparently. But the difference is Floyd doesn't drink. Floyd's never touched, alcohol. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. And that's the thing when his body is well preserved, is what I'm trying to hint at. Yes, his body is broken down. Yes, he's got brittle hands. But he just fought a 200-pound man, and he didn't break his hand. I'm just saying, he didn't break his hand against Conor McGregor. And a large part of that is because he didn't have to use it as much, or he didn't have to put a whole lot of power into it. He knew he could just break those guys down. But Floyd can beat up Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia that just got beat up by Errol Spence. Danny Garcia who's been inactive ever since that. Danny Garcia who cares more about his clothing line. Danny Garcia who spends all night in the strip club, and he is drinking in the strip club. I think he can beat Danny Garcia. Absolutely, I think he can beat Danny Garcia. I think he can beat Keith Thurman, a post "Don't Duck Me, Son" Keith Thurman. I'm talking about the Keith Thurman with the braids. That dude was a dog. The Keith Thurman today, he's nice and likable, fluffy. That's a different guy. That's a totally different guy. The Keith Thurman, that totally different guy. He's had a loss and he seemed really humble in the loss. Some guys get a loss and it's like, I'll never lose again. Then you get some guys and let me give it a shot. Totally different people. Totally different people. The "Don't Duck Me, Son" Keith Thurman, he would have won that Manny Pacquiao fight. I believe he would have won that Manny Pacquiao fight. But the post-injuries, post-marriage, because, marriage changed Keith Thurman. It doesn't do it for everybody, but it did it for him. I kind of feel like it did it for Shawn Porter, too. Speaking of Shawn Porter, thinking of people that I think Floyd could beat, I think Floyd Mayweather could beat Shawn Porter. Shawn said it himself. He didn't even want to get up and run in the morning. Floyd does that for breakfast while retired. Come on. Yes, I think he can beat some of these guys. Shawn Porter is not where he once was. Keith Thurman's not where he once was. Danny Garcia's not where he once was. Kell Brook and Amir Khan, not where they once were. Errol Spence, that's something different. I do know he's had injuries. And yes, Floyd is he's got 20-something years of boxing in his body. So his body's broken down. It has been broken down. But Errol Spence had a car that went, a few times. And then, his situation was so it's just maybe, maybe, I wouldn't doubt it. Listen, you guys know me by now. If a guy hasn't lost, who am I to say that he'll lose? Because there's no history to say that he's going to lose. So maybe. One thing I do know is Floyd has always had a great chin. He's always been a smart defensive fighter, but he's always had a great chin. He's been popped several times. So I don't know. It's not like he's going to fight Jaron Ennis. So it's not like he's going to fight Canelo again. He's not fighting Canelo. He's never going to fight. He's only going to taunt Canelo for the rest of his career. but he's never going to fight Canelo again. That's never going to happen. Never in a million years is that ever going to happen again. Unless Canelo, gets an injury or something like that. And he'll probably say, well, you got to fight me at 147 pounds. And it'll be some type of stipulation, Maybe if Manny Pacquiao came back, they would do, a second fight. I think Floyd would take Manny Pacquiao in a second fight because Manny Pacquiao's had a lot of damage. He's had some tough fights since then. Well, I've already beat you before. I've already beat you. You've had some fights where you've taken a whole lot of damage. One fight in particular, your eyes were closed and your wife had to spoon feed you like a baby. I think I can beat that guy. Why not? I think I can beat that guy. I mean, I did do it before, so it shouldn't be a problem if I do it again. So there are people who are quote unquote relevant that I think he can beat. I really do. I think he can beat. Those are the main guys. Remember, when Floyd was on his way out, those were the guys on deck who were calling him out. The Shawn Porters, the Keith Thurmans, the Danny Garcias. But now they've had their lows in the sport. Remember, when they were calling him out, they were on the up. Their stock was going up. Everything was going up. But now, Porter's retired. Thurman is not as mean and angry and, raw with it as he once was, when he had the braids. Danny Garcia seems like he cares more about, his retail line and partying. Why not? I think he could beat those guys. Today, I think he can beat those guys. But when he was retiring and he chose to fight Andre Berto instead, no, I didn't like his chances at that time. But today, yeah. Actually, yeah. If he were to call Shawn Porter and say, yeah, let's do it, yeah, I would actually favor Floyd Mayweather. You're talking about the guy who didn't even want to get up and run? The guy who just got to, who was upset with himself and he knew in training camp he wasn't going to win? Yeah, I would favor Floyd Mayweather. So those are my thoughts. I want to know what you have to say down below. You know the routine. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.